Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Can we?
Your video is blank, Prabhu.
I have issues with my video while
Okay.
using my
No
laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we start, Prabhu?
Go ahead, Prabhu, please.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we'll start with a small kirtan and prayer. So and we'll continue with the Bhagavatam class. Om Vishwapadaya Krishna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna
Mike again.
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Granthar Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter number 13 and verse number 18. Iti abhidhyayato nasho vivrates sahasanagha varahato kan niraghad anugusta parimanakha iti abhidhyayato nasha vivrata sahasanaga varahato kan niraghad anugusta parimanakha iti abhidhiyato nasa vivrata sahasanaga varahatoka niraghad anugusta parimanakha. So translation: O sinless Vidura, all of a sudden while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. So, translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So here this verse does not have purport. So we'll be I'll be taking you through the presentation. So as to how the earth lost its balance. So when Lord Brahma was engaged in the work of creation, So the earth lost its balance, and the earth earth lost its balance and fell into the Garbhodaka ocean and had settled at the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean, where the planets usually uh, settle at the uh, end of the universal devastation. So all the planets, they settle at the Garbhodaka ocean. So here we see that when Brahma was engaged in the creation activities of creation, so the earth had lost its balance. So as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we see that Sagam Abhishicha Bhutani Dharaya Mahavojasa Ushnami Chaushadi Sarvam Soma Bhutmara Satmaka. So the planets which are floating in the cosmos, so are floating in their respective orbits by the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, when Lord Brahma was taking care of the secondary creation, he was thinking about the various activities he is supposed to perform. So the earth suddenly lost its balance and fell into the Garbhodaka ocean. So how did the earth lose its balance is discussed here. So Hiranyaksha, who, as the name itself says, he was after the gold, and he was engaged in the mining activities. He was mining the activities for gold. So the mining activities went to such an extent that the earth lost its balance and fell into the Garbhodaka ocean. So, and Lord Brahma got into a deep meditation. Here we can see the horrible activities conducted by the so-called advanced civilization for gold and other valuable minerals from the earth. So just like Hiranyaksha was doing. So when the earth lost its balance, so then Brahmadev, so he was meditating on how to lift the earth from the Garbhodaka ocean. So then after contemplating for some time, he thought, so this task is not possible for me. So I have to completely take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So when he was contemplating that way, so the Lord Varahadev, as mentioned in this verse, appeared from the nostril of Brahma. So, and the size of the Lord was the upper portion of the thumb. So when he appeared, and in a fraction of a second, the Lord became as huge as an elephant, and he grew to the unlimited. He grew to a magnanimous size. So here, the appearance of the Lord was in the form of a boar. So here, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, so we see the Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tatvataha Tiktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Soshana. So the name, fame, activities, and the pastimes of the Lord are all on the transcendental platform. Though the Lord has appeared in the form of the boar, he is not like an ordinary boar. He is a transcendental boar. So which can be seen from his activities. Immediately he appeared from the nostril of Brahma. So he appeared to the size of the upper portion of the thumb, then he grew to the size of an elephant, and then he became a magnanimous boar. So here we see how the activities of the Lord are unimitable and transcendental. So here it is said that the Vedas emanated from the breathing of Narayana, and Lord Brahma inhaled the breathing of the Narayana, and thus he assimilated the Vedas. So and by the same exhalation of Brahma, so we see that Varahadev is appearing. So here Varahadev is considered the incarnation of the Vedas. So he is the incarnation of the personified Vedas. Therefore, wherever the glorification of the Lord is happening, we have to understand that the Vedic mantras are chanted in the perfect manner. So when the Lord appeared, so he made a he roared actually when he took the magnanimous form. So he roared, and the roaring was a challenge to the demoniac class of men. So, but the demigods, including Lord Brahma, they were not perturbed because they knew the purpose and they knew the purpose of the Lord's incarnation. So, and they were all very happy to see the transcendental form of the Lord in the form of a boar. So here, when the Lord roared, it was a challenge to the demoniac class of men. So, and here the roaring of the Lord should also be considered in a transcendental way. So the roaring of the Lord is a challenge to the demoniac class of men. So here we see that the Lord is the personification of Vedas. Therefore, when the transcendental name, fame, glories of the Lord are propagated, then the demoniac, it is a challenge to the demoniac class of men. Therefore, we see in the life and pastimes of Parishad Maharaj also, he made a very systematic arrangement for the propagation of the transcendental name, fame, glories, and pastimes of the Lord, so that the demoniac activities or the demoniac activities are mitigated. So, and the transcendental reality of the Lord is established. So, therefore, the Vedas are the direct representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then we see in this picture that the Lord dived into the Garbhodaka ocean. So he entered the nether regions of the earth, and he picked up the earth from the nether regions of the Garbhodaka ocean. So here it is mentioned that how the Lord picked up the Mother Earth. So it is mentioned that the Lord picked up the Mother Earth just like an elephant picks up a lotus flower. So here, without any effort, so the Lord picks up Mother Earth from the nether regions of the earth. So after picking up Mother Earth from the nether regions of the earth, he also fought with Hiranyaksha. So it is mentioned that when the Lord with Mother Earth on his tusks, so he fought with Hiranyaksha. So here we see. So, and when he fought with Hiranyaksha, he killed him with ease, and it is said that the Lord, without much effort, so in this transcendental incarnation, it is said that he kicked indifferently on the rear portion of the ear and killed Hiranyaksha. That is what is mentioned in the scriptures, that how Lord Varahadev, he killed Hiranyaksha. So here we see that the Lord can assume any form he likes, and in all circumstances he is the cause of all causes. His form is transcendental. He is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he is in the causal ocean in the form of Mahavishnu. Innumerable universes are generated from the holes of his body's hairs, and thus his transcendental body is the Vedas personified. He is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and he is unconquerable Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is never to be misunderstood other than the Supreme Lord, because he is assuming the form of a boar to lift the earth. So this is the clear understanding of the sages and the great personalities like Brahma and other residents of the higher planetary systems. So here we see that the transcendental fight happens between the Lord and the demoniac personality like Hiranyaksha. So here we have the picture of Varaha Kalyani. So here it is said that when the Lord assumed the form of a boar, and after fighting Hiranyaksha and killing him, so the droplets from the Varahadev's transcendental body so fell here, and it assumed the form of a sarovar. Here in Melkote, so very close to Bangalore, maybe some 130 kilometers from Bangalore, we have this place Melkote, where we have this Varaha Kalyani. We have a beautiful temple shrine of Varahadev also in the pretext of the Kalyani only, where we can have darshan of Varahadev. So, but this temple is not open every day. Sometimes it is open. So with the help of the pujaris, we can have the darshan of Varahadev also here. So this is about so the Varaha Kalyani. So there devotees can go. I think 2 years back we went to this place. We spent two days here. So discussing the pastimes and activities of the Lord. The devotees also took the auspicious bath in this river, taking in the Sarovar. So devotees can become sanctified, purified, taking bath in this Varaha Kalyani. So which is not different from the sweat emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord. So we can all plan for a trip after this COVID situation is over. So next we see that here the transcendental form of the Lord, here the Varahadev is non-different from the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So and he is the personification of the Vedas, and the transcendental roar of the Lord, we see that it's non-different from the personification of the Vedas. So there are people people may study Vedas and make an independent conclusion on the study of the Vedas. So there are 60 different kinds of Vedanta darshans. So which is mentioned in which is mentioned in the scriptures. So and as mentioned in the first canto, 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the qualification of the speaker of the Bhagavatam is mentioned, where the speaker of the Bhagavatam should be in a position to refute all the 6 Vedanta darshans and establish the transcendental truth of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see that these 6 different kinds of saddarshans are given by 6 different kinds of philosophers like Gautama, Kannada, Kapila, Jaimini, Patanjali, and Astavakra. So all these different kinds of atheistic proportions, atheistic understanding of the Vedanta Sutras, so should be defeated by the Bhagavatam speaker and established Srimad Bhagavatam as the eternal principle, which Srila Vyasadeva did. So we'll see the what is the atheistic conclusion of each of these philosophers. So let us take Jaimini's conclusion. So Jaimini's conclusion on the Vedanta Sutras. So the conclusion of the Jaimini is that he advocates following the path of karma kanda. So where a person may study the Vedas, so he may have the knowledge and the apt of understanding and studying the Vedas, but may completely arrive at an atheistic conclusion. So any conclusion which is not directed towards the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are all considered as atheistic conclusion. Here, Jaimini, after study of the Vedanta philosophy, he comes to the conclusion that the material world is designed in such a way that you have to do pious activities. So people who are called Vedavada Rathas, so people who are very expert in study of the Vedas arrive at they are all bewildered by the flowering language of the Vedas, which recommend promotion to the heavenly planets and enjoying happiness in the heavenly planets. So they say that this is the conclusion and the purpose of Vedas. So philosophers like Jaimini, they arrive at this conclusion and they say that so you have to perform the pious activities which are mentioned in the Vedas, because the world is designed in such a way that by performing pious activities you derive pious result, and as a result of your pious results you are promoted to the heavenly planets. So after being promoted to the heavenly planets, you enjoy the life in the heavenly planets, and after your pious activities are exhausted, you again come back. So and again you perform pious activities and again accumulate pious credit and again go back to the heavenly planets and enjoy. So this cycle can continue. So this is the conclusion of Vedas. This is the conclusion of Vedas, and this is all in all. But very little they understand that this material world is also subject to annihilation, and the annihilation happens at the end of Brahma's day, happens at the end of each Manvantara, and also happens at the end of Brahma's life also. So, and even there is a lot of risk performing karma kanda activities. It has to be performed with great so with under the guidance of the expert Brahmana, and it has been meticulously performed. Any discrepancy in the pronunciation of the mantras will not give the desired result. So, and especially we also see that there is the cyclic changes which happens in the day of Brahma with the Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali, and especially in the age of Kali, you will not have expert Brahmanas who can chant the Vedic mantras in the way it is mentioned in the Vedas, and you may not get the desired result. So we also have the famous example of Maharaja Durga, who was engaged in such pious activities and who was very charitable and giving donation. He was giving a lot of cows in donation to the Brahmanas. And it so happened while doing such an activity, one of the cow which was supposed to be given to one Brahmana, returned back to him, and it entered the Goshala, and the same cow was donated to another Brahmana. So as a result of which both the Brahmanas were dissatisfied, and as a result of which they cursed Maharaj Durga to become a lizard. So when the activities which are performed in the Karmakanda portion of the Vedas, which are not performed meticulously under expert guidance, it may also give another result. The only good activity Maharaj Durga did was he gave a donation for building a Krishna's temple, as a result of which the Lord personally came to deliver him from the well. So performing Karmakanda activities, there is a risk, and this is the conclusion of Jaimini. Then we have the conclusion of Kannada, so which is called as the atomic theory. So he says that when we take the composition of the earth is made up of atoms and molecules. This earth is nothing but a composition of matter. So, and the composition of the matter and the combination of, according to this theory of Kannada, so the combination of matter produces life. He gives an example of you may find a dry pumpkin shell, and you may also find a stick, and you may also find a string. So all these three different things are independent, but when they combine together, when you combine a dry pumpkin shell and a stick along with a string, so then it becomes a musical instrument. Then you can play like a veena, tin tin tin. So it produces a beautiful sound. So similarly, the chemicals or the matter in itself does not produce life, but the combination of matter can produce life. This is the atomic theory. This is the atomic theory presented by Kannada, which is another other darshan, amongst one of the 6 darshans, which is a completely an atheistic proposition. So then we have the atheistic proposition of the Kapila, so who says that by the meticulous study of this material world, that the material world is made up of different material elements. So like we have the 24 that they arrive at the conclusion saying this material world is made up of 24 elements. Some philosophers say it is composed of 16, and some say it's 9. So all these different composition of material elements and a detailed study of these material elements will ultimately they say that this material world is composed of these different elements, and the life in this material world is a combination of these 16 different kinds of material elements. So like we have the gross elements like the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, the 5 sensory organs. So then we have the 5 sense version of sense. We have the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Then we have the working senses. Then we have the 3 modes of material nature. So everything put together, we have the earth, which is a earth with its earth along with the living entities composed of these 24 elements. So with with no God in picture. So this is another conclusion which with other atheistic conclusion. So these are few conclusions, atheistic conclusions, which after the which are all the atheistic proportion, atheistic conclusion which a person can arrive after an independent study of the Vedanta Sutra. This is a bona fide speculation on the Vedas, and these are called as the Shad Darshans or the six Darshans. And a qualified speaker of Bhagavatam should defeat all the six different kinds of conclusion and establish Srimad Bhagavatam as the eternal principles, which was actually done by Srila Vyasadeva. So this, what is the result of such? We see that this material world, whatever different kinds of theories, what we see in this material world, are all stemming from these six different kinds of atheistic conclusions. So we see that in the Bhagavad Gita, how a demoniac person comes to such demoniac conclusions. So in the 16th chapter, 8th verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we see that people who arrive at such conclusions, we see the current fate of this material world is a result of such atheistic conclusion, and people have placing complete faith in such atheistic conclusions. So here in the 16th chapter, 8th verse of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is saying that Asatyam apratishtam te jagad ahur anishwaram aparspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haitukam. So they say that this material, this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of six desire and has no cause, for no other cause other than lust. The demoniac people conclude that this world is a phantasmagoria. There is no cause and effect, no control, no purpose. Everything is unreal. They say that this cosmic manifestation arises out of chance of material action and interaction and reaction. They do not think that this world was created by God for a certain purpose. They have their own theory that the world has come about in its own way, and there is no reason to believe that there is God behind it. For them, there is no difference between spirit and matter, and they do not accept the supreme spirit. Everything is matter only, and the whole cosmos is supposed to be a mass of ignorance. So they say that this material world has no purpose. This material world is there is no purpose, and there is no cause and effect. They don't see the supreme cause of all causes. So the supreme personality of Godhead, so is behind this material creation. There is a purpose behind this material creation. So they say that this material variegatedness, what exists in this material world, is nothing but a mass of ignorance. So when we say that there is a perfect design and order in this material world, and everything is going according to the plan of Lord, they say that it is all based on the ignorance in perception. So that ignorance in perception, like they give the example of the snake to the rope to be pursued for snake. So all these atheistic conclusions are because they are not seeing seeing things in connection with the supreme personality of Godhead. So all this atheistic conclusion, people can arrive at all this atheistic conclusion as a result of not seeing things in connection with the supreme personality of Godhead. So why people, after a meticulous study of all this Vedanta, so meticulous study of this material world, so they arrive at this atheistic conclusion, is because they do not see the real cause and effect, that is the supreme personality of Godhead. So unless what Prabhupada writes in the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, that how the impersonalist is not able to perceive the reality, and how the transcendentalist, how the devotee is able to perceive this transcendental reality, is because of the missing link is the transcendental love. So the transcendental love, which manifests in the heart of a devotee by the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, which should be heard from a bona fide devotee of the Lord. So one can be a very great thinker. One can be a very great scholar and arrive at such atheistic conclusions. Therefore, so one has to meticulously study the Vedas under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master to avoid such atheistic conclusions. So all these atheistic conclusions and propositions, whatever is mentioned in whatever the world is believing today, so under the guidance of these atheistic scientists, can all be negated by proposing the philosophy of proposing the true philosophy and the true purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam as given by our acharyas. So that's the reason the transcendental roaring of Varahadev, what is mentioned here, is the vibration of the assent given by the Lord for the chanting of the Vedic mantras by the Brahmanas when the Lord appeared. So the Lord is giving an approval that the transcendental vibration of the name, fame, past tense, and the glories of the Lord has to be vibrated loudly. Srila Prabhupada says that it has to be vibrated very loudly, so that all these atheistic conclusions arrived by the scientists, the philosophers, the Vedantists who arrive at the atheistic conclusions of the Vedas, so they can all be mitigated, and the Supreme Lord is established as an eternal principle in this in this world, and also in the hearts of the devotees. So therefore, here the Lord who is in the form of the transcendental boar is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Varahadev, so who is a personification of the Vedas, so meditating on his transcendental form, activities, and pastimes. So let us all make our journey back home, back to Godhead. It is mentioned that a person may be doing devotional service. So when doing devotional service, so the Lord takes into account whatever little service is done by the Jiva to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything, whatever devotional service we do, so all those devotional service is kept in the account of the Lord. Sometimes a devotee, when he takes to the path of devotional service, he may practice seriously for some time, and maybe again bewildered by the material illusory potency of the Lord, they may give up the devotional service. So what happens to the fate of such a devotee? So, or a devotional, a practitioner of devotional service, so he may practice devotional service strongly for some time, and after some time he may forget. So what is the fate of a devotee if he is not able to remember the Lord at the time of death? So it is mentioned in the Varaha Purana that the Lord remembers whatever spiritual activities, whatever devotional service we have done at his lotus feet, and he considers only those those devotional activities, and he gives us an opportunity for the Jiva to engage in the devotional service, and he considers only the good side of the devotional service done by the devotee. So devotees who have challenges in giving up bad habits in the course of practicing devotional service can pray at the lotus feet of Varahadev, so that he can uplift our consciousness and bring us to the platform of practicing devotional service in a nice way. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much. So Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So devotees have any doubts, any clarifications, any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, as it said that the atheistic theories. My question is, Prabhu, are they gone through the Vedas? If yes, why there is a different conclusion from each of them?
So people who make an independent study of the Vedas, they arrive at all these conclusions, all these atheistic conclusions. So like we have seen these atheistic conclusions given by Jaimini, Gautama, Kannada. So any conclusion which does not arrive at engaging the Jiva in the transcendental service of the Lord, are all considered as atheistic conclusions. So why they arrive at the atheistic conclusion is because they don't take to the process of devotional service. So as there is a famous shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that Tarko Pratishto Shrutayo Binnam Nasav Rishirasya Namatam Binnam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihita Guhaya Mahajana Yenogata Panta Sapanta. So how the transcendental realization happen, how the secret of the transcendental activities, name, fame, past tense, and the glories of the Lord manifest in the heart of a devotee is an eternal secret. So which can the secret is revealed in the heart of a devotee only. So whereas because they take to the process of devotional service, so as we see in Bhagavad Gita also, why Lord chose Arjuna. The Lord chose Arjuna because he was a friend and a devotee of the Lord. So therefore, if the secret has to be revealed, so one has to engage in the process of devotional service. So when the transcendental love manifests in the heart of the devotee, we can see that the secret of the transcendental knowledge is revealed in the heart of a devotee. So here we see that there are different kinds of munis like Jaimini, Gautama, Kannada, all these different munis, they differ in their proposition of differ in their conclusions of the Vedic scriptures. So a muni is not called a muni if he does not differ in conclusion with another muni. And not by logic and reason can we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this transcendental secret is revealed in the heart of a devotee, as we see that the Vedas were revealed in the heart of a devotee like Lord Brahma. So during the beginning of the creation, the same knowledge was disseminated to Narada Dev. So without any interpretation, and the same knowledge was given to Vyasadeva, and the same conclusion was given to from Narada Dev to Shukadeva Goswami, and we can see this parampara continues. So this is the secret of receiving the transcendental knowledge. So by the process of descendants. So whereas the people who take the path of ascendance, where they use their own mind and intellectual and mental faculties to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so the path is very troublesome and they may not be successful in the path. That's the reason we see that all these 6 different kinds of philosophers say they do not arrive at the right conclusion. So, and there is always a risk of arriving at an erroneous conclusion if you don't take the path of descendants, where you receive the mercy of the Lord of the Guru Parampara, so where the knowledge is received intact. Because dharmasya tattvam nihita guhayam. So the secret is revealed in the heart of a pure devotee of the Lord, who disseminate this knowledge exactly the same way as it is. So therefore, this is the secret of receiving transcendental knowledge, and not by taking the path of ascendance and arriving at erroneous conclusions. Hare Krishna. Santosham.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Well
Hare-
done, Prabhu. Prabhu, shall I ask one question, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. From Srimad Bhagavatam, we come to know that Vyasadeva has imparted this Vedic knowledge. So he has actually completely divided into 4 parts like Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and other Veda, Atharvana Veda. And he has imparted this knowledge to his disciples Paila, Vaisampayana, Gemini, and Sumantu Prabhu. So here Gemini receives one of the disciples of Vyasadeva. So how could he interpret Vedas? Because he was in disciplic succession with Vyasadeva. So is it same person who has given Karma Mimamsa theory? So just a glimpse.
Yeah, this Karma Mimamsa theory is given by Gemini. So, but you see that one has to completely accept the conclusions of the spiritual master. So therefore, even though they were disciples of Vyasadeva, so you see that Vyasadeva was also put into despondency. So even after composing, even after dividing one Veda into 4 and meticulously presenting Vedas and all this for the benefit of the entire mankind, for taking them from the path for making them accept the authority of Vedas and taking them from the path of pravritti to nivritti, he had composed all these Vedic scriptures. So, but still he was in a state of despondency because he had not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada Muni, you see, when he was in a state of despondency and he was sitting on the bank of Saraswati, so Narada Muni comes and instructs Vyasadeva to compose Srimad Bhagavatam. So that we know. So how by sufficient glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, so Vyasadeva was completely satisfied. So people have to accept the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. So all these conclusions were accepted by the disciples of Vyasadeva before he composed Srimad Bhagavatam. So all these different atheistic conclusions are there. So, and even people who are Vedavarta Rathas, so who are expert in the study of the Vedas, so they also come to these atheistic conclusions if they don't take to the process of devotional service. So therefore, to highlight the importance of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, so to understand these transcendental activities and the pastimes of the Lord is the foremost activity in attaining the perfection of life, taking to the process of devotional service, or else we will arrive at the same atheistic conclusions. So taking the materialistic way of life to be all in all. Parmananda Prabhu?
Yes, bro. Thank you, bro, for wonderfully explaining this dry topic. Actually, it will not easily understandable, but thank you, bro, putting so much light on this. Thank you very much, bro. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Last question.
Yeah.
So among 6 atheistic theories, you also mentioned Kapila is a Sankhya philosophy.
Yeah.
We
So
often
here
quote from-
we are not talking about Lord Kapila. Here we are talking about the atheistic Kapila. So he arrives at the atheistic conclusion that this material world is a combination of these different elements. As we spoke, that there are 24 elements, right?
Okay. Yeah.
24 elements, which is composed of the 5 gross elements. So 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Then we have the 3 modes of material nature. Then we have the 5 working senses. Then the knowledge acquiring senses. So then we have the subtle senses like this sense of touch, sense of form, sense of vision, sense of hearing. So and sense of touch. So altogether, they say these 24 elements are the cause of all causes. So taking the Lord out of picture, such propositions are considered as atheistic. So because they don't bring the Lord into picture and see him as the cause of all causes. So actually, when a person is a true follower of the Sankhya philosophy, true follower of the Sankhya who's analytically studies this material world, they have to come to the conclusion that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes. So we have an few examples in the recent history also, like Sir Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein. They were all considered great scientists. So because after meticulously studying the nature of this material world, they all arrived at the conclusion that without God in picture, such a beautiful manifestation of this cosmos cannot happen. Including Albert Einstein and Sir Isaac Newton, they all arrived at the same conclusions. So Sankhya means analytically studying things. So we can see the modern scientists also, they also arrived at the conclusion that there is God in picture. There is Krishna is the cause of all causes. That the God is the cause of all causes. So when people arrive at such conclusions, then Sankhya becomes meaningful. In the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord clearly says that the purpose of Sankhya Yoga is ultimately come to the path of Bhakti Yoga. So if you are stuck at Sankhya and if you don't progress further, then you are then you don't make any advancement in spiritual life. So then your journey is incomplete with Sankhya. So Sankhya should lead to Bhakti. So ultimately, the conclusion of Sankhya is Sankhya should lead to Bhakti, which is clearly mentioned in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, thanks.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
That's my group. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you are saying there's 6 types of thought of school.
Better, sure.
If once, Prabhu, my voice is audible, Prabhu.
Audible, audible.
So if one sincerely follow this any of the one thought of school, is it possible he can come to devotion service, Prabhu? It may be for Jaimunis or Kannada Rishis, anybody's.
So unless there is an intervention of the pure devotee of the Lord, so there is no question of coming to the path, taking to the path of devotional service. So just as we see that all these different kinds of atheistic propositions, we have to atheistic theories mentioning about this functioning of the physiological functioning of this material cosmos. So seeing the seeing the meticulous arrangement in the creation of the Lord, we see that the luminaries like the sun, moon, and the stars. So the changing of the seasons, everything goes on meticulously in this material world. So by the arrangement of the Lord. But whereas the atheistic philosophers, the empirical philosophers, the Mayavadi, Tattvajnanis, so they all arrive at the conclusion that these are all this is all happening by chance. So when people arrive at such atheistic conclusions, so where is the question of accepting the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So unless there is an intervention of the pure devotee of the Lord, so people cannot come to the right conclusion. So all these 6 kinds of atheistic conclusions and the conclusion of all the modern scientists, what we see today, are all stemming from the 6 different kinds of atheistic conclusions only. Whether it is a chemical evolution theory, whether it is a Big Bang theory, so whether it is the atomic theory, so whether it is the chance creation theory. So all these different kinds of theories are all actually stemming from these 6 different kinds of darshans only. So unless people have the intervention of a pure devotee in their life, they cannot arrive at the right conclusion. They cannot come to the path of devotional service. And unless people come to the path of devotional service, they cannot understand the arrangement made by the Lord in this material world. They cannot understand either the material creation of the Lord, and they cannot accept the spiritual creation of the Lord.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thanks.
Hare Krishna. So okay. So if there are no other questions, Shiva Prabhu is.
Prabhu
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhu
So-
seems to be joined another session, Prabhu.
Okay. So then we can conclude the Bhagavatam session for the day. So thank you all very much.
Hare
Granthaj.
Krishna, Prabhuji.